master at the helm there.
Hi everyone, it's Chris from ET2's, and this week we're going to have to confess to some navigational errors, and we have made a few boo-boos here. But if you remember, at the end of the last episode we had sailed through the Caledonian Canal. Although I say sailed, we have probably motored through the Caledonian Canal basically. But we have got out the other end and we're in Loch Linney, and I'll tell you about the navigation error later on, but for the moment a little bit about Loch Linney. Okay, so we arrived at Oban, and Oban's now got some pontoons, Walkshore pontoons in the town, which is pretty nice and pretty helpful. You're only allowed to stay there 3 nights, and I think the idea of that is just so that they get a turnaround of tourists rather than people just dumping their boats there for any great length of time. But Oban itself, pretty nice place, lots to do, nice restaurants, very good place to stop. We had to let Nigel off the boat so he could head back home. But a good place and well worth a visit. Okay, so we come to the bit where we make a mistake. So we decided we want to go to Haven, which is near Loch Shona, and from Oban to there it's about 16 miles, so really easy, 4 hours. 3, maybe 4 hours worth of sailing, no big deal. Plug it into Navionics, use the automatic facility in Navionics to get it going, and away we go. Brilliant. Didn't even bother with looking at Savvy Navi, so excellent. So we set off, and it's a nice sunny day, it's all good, and we then find ourselves in a situation where we have actually missed out some fundamental stuff. The route had sent us through a place called Kewen Sound. Now, it's quite difficult to see, and we're actually approaching it here in the screen, and it's very difficult to see what's going on here, but there is a little gap there between the mainland and the island, and we were heading for there. All seems very good. Sea seems a bit disturbed, but no real big problem. However, as we move on, and as you can see in the film, what happens is that the water's getting more and more disturbed, and this is because the tide is sluicing straight out of Kewen Sound straight to us. It's coming towards us, and it's doing it at about 5 knots, possibly even more than that. And when we finally get to the entrance of the sound, it's abundantly clear that we're not going to actually make any progress whatsoever through here. And of course the boo-boo we've made, the serious boo-boo we've made, is to fail to look at the tides. Simple, navigation 101 error, and we have simply forgotten about it. So we end up in a situation where the tide is so strong we can't carry on, so we actually have to turn back, and we have to turn back out and go round to the Sound of Lewing. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, when we get into the Sound of Lewing, the tide is also still going against us at a fair old lick, and as you can see from this track, we end up going round and round in circles for a lot of the time, going absolutely nowhere. So what started off as a 16-mile, very quick day sail between the two places, Oban and Cruvehaven, what we end up doing is spending quite a bit longer than that, faffing about and going around and around in circles, and all because we naively relied on the navionics to tell us what to do. There's nothing wrong with the navionics itself. It does tell you about the tides, it's just that we didn't look at it, and so a bit of a silly there, and we paid the price. Made all the worse by the fact that when we did get into Cruvehaven it started raining to make it all the more miserable, and because it had taken us so long, the pub had also booked up all its restaurant seats, so not a great end to that little bit of the story.